What is going on, everybody? We're here. We're live for a Sports Wars Sunday. And between Friday and Saturday, we certainly had a lot of interesting combat sports to talk about. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul on Netflix, which went the way some of us had thought it was kind of going to go there, albeit I didn't expect quite as much buffering. And then last night, a real fight between Jon Jones and Stipe. And as much as I love Stipe, I didn't really think he had a chance against Jon Jones. Jon Jones put him down. But everyone is talking about what he did in the immediate aftermath, which, of course, is the Trump dance right in front of Trump, and then went over and handed him his motherfucking UFC belt. Certainly feels like the tide is shifting, and UFC's always kind of felt that way a little bit. But we've got other stuff to talk about, too, including the upcoming games in the NFL, a little bit of a look at the college football playoff preview, things like that. Before we get to it, Beardo, how's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, I was there watching the entire fight. We did a private live stream over on the Geeks and Gamers locals, and it was exactly what I expected. It's exactly what I predicted. So I'm looking forward to talking about it so I can tell John how wrong he was and how right I was about the outcome of the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight.
Well, speaking of that, John Matrix from Black and White Sports, how's it going?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I actually stayed up to watch that too. That was boy. I gotta say though, man, the undercards, that was some good fights.
Yes.
Even though I miss the Serrano fight, thanks Netflix, because I couldn't see the damn thing. Because once it cut out for me, it cut out for a while.
Yeah. That is obviously one of the things we want to talk about. One of the most hyped fights that we've ever seen, one that reportedly had over 60 million people trying to stream it live, was Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on Netflix. A lot of discussions in the lead up to this. We saw the kind of stage slap that happened at the weigh-ins and things like that. And for me, I have always felt like Mike Tyson, one of the greatest to ever do it. There's no doubt, but he's also nearly 60 years old. And does he have a puncher's chance? Sure, he had a puncher's chance. You never know. He might land one square, but ultimately you're worried about conditioning. You're worried about stability. You're worried about balance. You're worried about those things when you're the age of 58. That's kind of what we saw play out last night, or not last night, but Friday night. And Netflix has been getting destroyed over this entire thing because, quite frankly, I don't think they maybe expected or were ready for the level of volume, the people that were tuning in all to watch this. And regardless of whatever you think about Jake Paul, regardless if you think he's a bitch, that he can't fight, that he's only calling out retired fighters who can't fight, whatever, the truth is what he did and the job he did to set this fight up as an entertainer, it's going to keep happening because everyone tuned into this. Everyone wanted to see what happened. There was some people actually believing that Mike Tyson could knock him out or something like that. He had people bought in. And at the end of the day, people see those numbers, people see the payouts, and these fights are going to keep happening, whether you like it or not. That's just the truth. But Netflix was getting destroyed because you couldn't watch 30 or 45 seconds without it seeming to buffer unless they were showing Mike Tyson's bare ass cheeks. And of course, you know, the fight ended up, I was pretty split. I thought that either Jake Paul was going to win or it was going to be a draw, like kind of a predetermined draw type of thing.
That's where I was at too.
Mike Tyson looked exactly how I felt he would look like, which was 58 years old. And like he almost died a few months ago. That's what he looked like.
Yeah.
Go for it, John.
No, go ahead.
I've been saying it for the past several months whenever this topic came up on Sports Wars. I knew exactly what was going to happen. Like, this is like Ryan said, this is a 60-year-old fucking man, dude. Like, 60 years old, 58 years old. Yeah, that's not entirely super old as far as just like the regular world. We're talking about physical combat sports here. He is ancient, and we saw the Roy Jones fight 4 years ago, and Mike Tyson was 4 years younger, and that was a joke. That was two men in fucking adult diapers fucking fighting each other, and it was a fucking joke. And now 4 years later, Mike Tyson's gonna fight a 27-year-old kid in Jake Paul, who has the best training staff on earth training him. Like, come on. Like, this is how it was gonna go. And this was 100% a work. They weren't going to go for the knockout blow. They were pulling punches.
You know what the work was? And I even see some people now, it was rigged. Tyson wasn't. No, you know how it was rigged is Jake staged. Paul didn't try to fucking knock him out.
He didn't.
That's how it was rigged. Jake Paul held back, especially the last like 5 rounds. Jake Paul held back and didn't punch almost the entire fight. That's how it was staged, in my opinion.
100%.
Look what happened the last 15 seconds of that fight. Jake Paul stopped and he bowed down. Tyson had an ample opportunity to knock him out. Tyson just did that. This whole thing was fake.
Well,
the whole thing was a stunt.
So John, you're a big Mike Tyson fan. Tell us how you felt about the entire fight.
I saw his legs go. I know Roy Jones talked about it, man. His legs were shot. It was brutal to watch, man. Mike Tyson came in that ring, man. He was jacked. I got to give him credit on his body. His body was jacked. But those legs went out quick. And it was clear.
He's a 60-year-old man.
Jake Paul wasn't trying to fight. Jake Paul is a fraud of a boxer. He's not a boxer. Gonna say that again. He wasn't even trying to fight. This was a money grab, and give him credit, man. Jake Paul made $40 million off this thing. He made $40 million off of a stunt. Now he's calling out Canelo. Come on, man. He don't really want to fight Canelo, man. He ain't about that life. He'll get his ass destroyed.
He did not call out Canelo. Ariel Helwani said, would you fight Canelo? And Jake Paul said, I don't need to fight Canelo. Canelo needs to fight me. That's what he said.
Oh, that's what he said.
He did say that in post-fight. Just to be clear, he said something about Canelo in the lead up to the fight, where people were throwing out stuff. He said Canelo if he's not a puta, right? So he did bring up Canelo a couple days before. But you're right about how it was phrased by Ariel Helwani.
Let's be real, man. He don't want no part of Canelo. Canelo will put him in a coffin.
I think Canelo probably would put him in a coffin. But I just think that, again, people like the script. Like, if you think that that's a script for this fight, you're one of the biggest retards in the fucking world. You just are. And if you think that
came out after the fight,
that leaked on TikTok or whatever that somebody typed up and put on there, you are one of the dumbest motherfuckers in the world.
You didn't see it?
It's so stupid. And if you think that, again, I think this was all a stunt completely and totally, but it wasn't that Mike Tyson was holding back. The part was that Jake Paul didn't put him on the fucking mat. Regardless of whatever you think of Jake Paul overall, in terms of actual boxing skill right now, it was very clear that Jake Paul could have fucking taken out Mike Tyson if he wanted to in this fight.
If Jake Paul wanted to, he could have put Mike Tyson lifeless on the canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were right, Ryan. You were right. You said that or was it you, Beer? I don't remember which one of you guys said it.
Both of us. Me and Ryan completely agree with
an agreement of no knockouts.
Well, and that should have been the first warning, because when this fight first got announced, it was going to be 6 rounds. They were going to wear 16-ounce gloves, and there was a no knockout clause, and people were calling it out for bullshit. And then a few months later, they changed it, and they said, it was going to be an exhibition. And then they changed it because people were pissed and they were calling it out for what it was. They're like, this is a work. And then a few months later, they changed it. We went 8 rounds, 14-ounce gloves, and no knockout clause. But we all know that there was a backdoor deal where they were not going to beat the shit out of each other. They weren't going to knock each other out. Jake Paul wasn't going to embarrass Mike Tyson, and they were going to walk away millions of dollars richer. Is what happened.
And not, again, there's been so much fake bullshit that's been out there from people that are trying to cope because they don't understand how an edited training video might look better than Mike Tyson actually in the ring several years later because people are stupid. Anyway, there's been a bunch of bullshit about, this contract with this, if he went this long, it's bullshit, right? What we're talking about, Beardo's talking about is, hey, they've got the contract, but they've also got a handshake agreement behind it. That's just like, hey, you know what this is. I know what this is. Let's go get paid, brother. Mike Tyson's like, let's go get paid. And Mike Tyson got paid. And respect to Mike Tyson for actually going up and doing this. are actually going out there and training despite all the health problems and all of that stuff. I got a lot of respect for him just for doing that. But the truth is he's a 58-year-old man, and it hasn't been an easy 58 years for Mike Tyson. This is what I was saying. This is what several people were saying. When you hear Dana White a couple days before, I hope Mike Tyson comes out healthy. People who are in the know, they knew that this was going to happen, that this is how he was going to look. And unless there was a crazy wild shot in the first round, that Mike wasn't going to be able to hang because he's just old. And people might scream and bitch and moan about this. I can't believe Jake Paul would do this. Guess what? Next time this happens, a bunch of motherfuckers are going to tune in.
Yep.
But the thing is,
that's what this type of boxing event has turned into, and that's why they'll keep doing it.
But the thing is, Netflix got 60 million people to watch. They weren't watching for Jake Paul. They were watching for Mike Tyson.
It was both. It was both.
No, they were not watching for Jake Paul.
I guarantee. Nope. They were watching because they wanted to see Jake Paul get knocked the fuck out. Yes.
Well,
which is never going to happen.
Yeah. That wasn't going to happen.
General.
It's kind of now it's staged here because hadn't Jake Paul knocked out all these MMA fighters and NBA player, even a match that he lost, didn't he? He knocked out everybody. He couldn't knock out Mike Tyson.
You're not going to do that to Mike Tyson. That's the thing. You're not going to do that because
that's why the whole thing was fake.
The all the other fighters, Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz, all of these guys that he fought, Tyron Woodley, they were all in their late 30s, early 40s.
And they weren't boxers.
You can do that. This is Mike fucking Tyson, who is 58 years old. Jake Paul is not going to embarrass Mike Tyson, especially with the reputation, with everything that was going on around this fight, that if Jake Paul knocked out an old fucking man, it was never going to happen. He was never going to knock out Mike Tyson. That is the absolute most disrespect. And I'm not trying to say that, even though Jake Paul, he did have some pretty respectful comments to America and the working man in his post-fight interview with Ariel Helwani, which I did respect about that. Jake Paul was never going to fucking knock out Mike Tyson. And trust me, he had every single opportunity to do so. I want to highlight this real quick. He took steroids. I assume you're talking about Jake Paul.
Could be.
Hey, guess what? I'm sorry to break it to you. They were both on steroids. Mike Tyson is pumping testosterone. All of your favorite athletes are on steroids. All of them. All of your favorite movie stars are on steroids.
Oh, Stallone is on HGH. That's why
everyone is on fucking steroids. Everyone. They're all on steroids. Even Mike Tyson was pumping testosterone for this fight as well.
Yeah. And Mike even came out afterwards and kind of talked about this and revealed that, hey, remember when I got bashed for saying Mike Tyson almost fucking died at just on a fucking plane? That's how old and in bad health he is. Well, it turns out that was true, right? Mike Tyson, this is one of those situations where you lost but still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets. I almost died in June, had 8 blood transfusions, lost half my blood and 25 pounds in the hospital, had to fight to get healthy to fight, so I won. The man's not in good health. He wasn't in good health. This is one of the criticisms a lot of people had in the fight game about Jake Paul even wheeling out Mike Tyson to do this in general. That is why Jake Paul didn't go after him to try to give him a knockout blow. That's why the fight was so goddamn boring, even though Mike Tyson was standing. So Jake Paul had every opportunity to tee off, and he didn't. He just didn't.
Where does Jake Paul go from here? He got the ultimate spectacle in Mike Tyson. It's going to be nobody else he's going to fight is going to be able to get that kind of draw with Tyson. I don't even think of Canelo. I mean,
There's
would be
one.
Conor McGregor.
If he fought Conor McGregor, if he fights Tommy Fury again, the rematch, the one fight that Jake Paul lost, I think it would.
Big.
It won't. No, it won't be this big. It won't be this big. But a rematch would be good.
But what I was saying
it'd be good for Jake Paul.
He's not going to be able to top Tyson. Tyson, the ultimate killer back in his prime. That's the reason why I did 60 million people. There's nobody out there, I believe, that's gonna get that kind of draw. This thing was on Netflix like that because of Tyson.
Well, you're gonna see next year Jake Paul's gonna fight Evander Holyfield.
I don't want to see. I believe that Tyson would do better than Holyfield, man. Oh man.
Jake Paul's gonna he's gonna fight Vladimir Klitschko next year.
How about Lennox Lewis, man? Wasn't Lennox Lewis at the fight?
He's gonna
They both
dig up
were.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, ultimately, regardless of whatever you think about this dude, he fucking won in that. I mean, the grand scheme of things.
It wasn't even close.
Convinces Mike Tyson to do this. He gets Mike Tyson a payday to do this, and it was the biggest con we've ever seen.
Yeah.
All y'all, guess what? I didn't watch the fight. I
This
didn't
actually goes
watch
on
the fight when it was live because I knew exactly what it was going to be. I was watching a fucking movie on HBO Max drunk as shit because it was my birthday because I knew what this would be. And I watched it the next day to see, what everyone's talking about. But I knew what this was. But they convinced a lot of people to believe. They convinced people like John, right? Because, John, you are a massive Tyson fan. And you the idea that you might see one last glimmer out of this fucking killer, right? Out of Mike Tyson for one moment, 1 second, one punch, you might get to see that again. That's why everyone tuned in. But it was
the thing is with Tyson, man, I'm way older than you guys, man. When a Tyson fight came on in the 80s, it was like something you had never, ever seen before. You knew that fighter was dead the moment he got into the ring. We never saw anything like that, ever. Not even since. Lennox Lewis, Lennox Lewis, he had a glass jaw. So he wasn't a true killer like 80s Mike Tyson. Tyson, something we'll never see again. And, maybe for a moment, maybe he could have actually caught that. But it didn't happen, man, because the whole thing was fake. And this went on his record, man.
It's because he's old. All right. I agree that they fucking weren't going to do this. They weren't Jake Paul wasn't going to try to fucking knock ass or whatever. The reason that Mike Tyson looked like shit was not because it was rigged. He looked like shit because he's fucking old.
He is
correct.
Old. He said he had
Jake Paul not.
He said he had an injury
I'm
too
tired
at the end of the fight.
From everybody. I'm tired of people making excuse after excuse. I can't believe he looked so good 4 years ago in promo.
Well, that's a big difference when you're in your 50s.
I can't. Yeah, he's fucking old. He just is. And that's okay. It's okay that Mike Tyson is old and not Mike Tyson in his prime. Would Mike Tyson in his prime would destroy him? Sure, but that's not what anyone's fucking talking. That's not what the fight was.
Yeah, Jake Paul wouldn't even fight him in his prime.
Mike Tyson versus 27-year-old Jake Paul.
Yep.
I mean, Jake Paul wouldn't fight 2005 Mike Tyson, who lost to Kevin McBride. That Tyson would destroy Jake Paul easily.
I've been preaching this for months. That how this fight was going to go down.
Here we are. All right, let's catch up with some of these super chats. Let's catch up with maybe it'll be Logan Paul versus Mike Tyson next. They teased it in the ring. Zenny Biscuit for 5. With Trump returning to the White House and Baffert returning to Churchill, 2025 is shaping up to be the year of vengeance. Is Baffert actually is he back? I didn't know he was back allowed at Churchill Downs now. That's awesome. Alex McCarthy can pick my teams, Jags and Packers, to win. Well, thank you, Alex. We'll see what happens. I'm probably picking the Packers. Jose Taco, he's got the update. So for you guys that don't know, every single Sunday we pick the NFL slate of games, at least the ones that are occurring on Sunday. Here was our records from last week and our overall records for the year. Ryan, 8-4, 81-46. John, 6-6, 65-38. Beardo, 8-4, 74-63 overall.
Starting to break away, man.
Is that 74-63? That those don't seem to add up. I feel like there's a
74-63.
Could be Thursday nights, Monday nights.
No, because you add mine up. Mine's 127. You add yours up. That's like a whole extra week. Maybe actually accidentally doubled a week for you or something. Because that doesn't quite make sense. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. Jose Taco. Taker for 5. YouTube put an HIV/AIDS info banner under the G&G Clips video where everyone's joking that Jay has AIDS. That should be under every G&G video. It's pretty good. Lance, it's fuck UCLA week. Let's go. Hey, in the Big Ten. Stephen DeLeon for 5. What's up, Figs and Ryan's hair? Notre Dame rules all. Hashtag shout out West Texas. Hashtag Bills Mafia. Thank you, Stephen. Fluffy Panda, glad to see Beardo wear a winner for a change instead of fake New York team. Go Bills, beat those refs. God. Rob Cortez for 5. Good morning, Ryan. You should stream the Bears game. No. I don't think YouTube allows people to kill themselves while they're live streaming. Hey, what's up, Nate the lawyer? For $10, the fight was a scam. Look at Mike's fight 4 years ago against Roy Jones compared to this one. Netflix stream also sucked all night.
If you think
did suck all night, but like to me, I didn't think Tyson looked good 4 years ago either.
No,
he looked better than he did.
He looked better.
He looked better than he did now, but he's also 4 years older. A lot of health episodes later, like it's crazy to me that people can see this dude. He can like barely walk at the end. And it's like, oh, well, it can't be that he's 58 years old. It must be he was holding back. And I think that Jake was holding back. That's how it felt to me all night, based on all the other fights I've seen from Jake Paul in the actual last couple years. He's usually much more aggressive. And he played it off. He's like, yeah, I was worried. I didn't want him to counterpunch and hurt me. Like, it was to not knock Mike Tyson out. Because that would have ended if he would have done, as angry as people are about what they saw. If Jake Paul had teed off and just beat the fuck out of an old ass Mike Tyson,
it'd have been so much worse.
It would have been so much worse. And he may not have gotten as many people who would be willing to come to the mat for him for paydays like this if they felt like he was going to disrespect and embarrass him that way.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
glad,
how I feel about the whole thing.
I'm just glad I didn't have to pay for it. I get Netflix for free.
God, imagine if people have been paying $100 for that fucking pay-per-view.
For a fucking pay-per-view, yeah.
Is this the future though of like boxing and all that is going to be on like Netflix? I mean, 60 million, that's a whole bunch of people.
This is a big launch for them. And obviously they probably learned a couple things in terms of how many people tuned in. And despite the fact that Netflix is the biggest streaming service out there, the idea of so many people at the same time trying to watch the same live streamed event, which they don't have, they have done those in the past,
but they
don't have as much experience with those. But I think it was a big learning curve for them, certainly. And I think we're going to come back and watch it if they do another one that's interesting enough.
Netflix is going to be in the conversation with competing with ESPN and Showtime for these next pay-per-views.
No.
Say that again?
Netflix is going to be in competition with ESPN and Showtime for these fights. As far as like who's going to host these fights compared to ESPN Showtime, I think Netflix is going to be in the conversation for sure going forward.
Yeah, I watched it the next day. I fast forwarded through a bunch of shit, heard a little bit of the commentary in between, saw a couple of the undercard fights, and fast forwarded to the fight. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't waste my time trying to watch it and buffering along with the entire rest of the country. So, John Getz for 2, Beardo versus Epic Mike boxing match win.
You don't want to see Epic Mike like that.
Yanks fan for 5. I'm pissed Jerry closed the curtains for the fight, but won't close them for the Cowboys. It's true. Rob Cortez, Jake versus Logan at WrestleMania. Maybe. Beardo did say it'd be a draw. It was not.
I said it would be likely if it was going to be a draw. I said Jake Paul was going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it'd be a draw, just so that it didn't go on their personal record.
John Getz over on the Rumble side for $1. Steelers litmus test today. Always hyped up for Ravens gains, but this one will put the winner more into contender territory. This is a big game for them, no doubt about it. Then Mick Walsh, Jake Paul to fight Nancy Pelosi next. Maybe. Guess what? A lot of people would tune into that. A lot of people that hate Nancy Pelosi would tune in to see that. Are you kidding me? But on to an actual fight, which, although I didn't really expect this one to be all that competitive, UFC 309 was last night. Jon Jones making his return against Stipe. And as much as I love Stipe as a boxer, and I'm always rooting for him, I love the dude. I didn't think it was going to go very well for him last night. That turned out to be very accurate. It didn't go well for Stipe last night. Got knocked out. TKO spinning back kick to the midsection which takes him out. But really, one of the big stories last night was Donald Trump. We know he goes to these UFC events. We know he loves going to these numbered UFC events. This time, he brought the whole gang with him. You saw Elon was there. You saw Tulsi. You saw RFK. You saw everybody. Him greeting Joe Rogan with a big hug before the match. But obviously, the big main event was Jon Jones versus Stipe. And it ended in round 3 with that knockout from Jon Jones. And we can watch it right here. And we can watch exactly what he did after that had so many people talking. Ooh, almost went too far. Here we go. That was a heavy body blow, body blow with this spinning back kick.
Man.
And that's just debilitating. You know what I mean? Like you literally just can't fucking move when something like this happens. And what does Jon Jones do as Stipe's laying on the mat?
Damn.
Look at Jon Jones.
He did the Trump dance. He did the Trump dance.
He did the Trump dance and then pointed right at Donald Trump. Not only that, right? Not only that, but afterwards, what does he do? He gives the man the fucking belt.
Respect, man. That's awesome.
Did
And
Trump
then
keep the belt?
And then he did. I don't know if he got to keep it. I probably got it back right here. But then you hear this in the aftermath as well.
I'm sure. I also want to say a big, big thank you to President Donald Trump for being here tonight. Can I get a oh, yeah? Hey, what do you guys think about my version of the Donald Trump? Check it out. USA! USA! Let's go!
What a crazy, crazy atmosphere at these UFC fights now with all of this stuff going on. But to shout out to Jon Jones, like, I don't know who he could fight that I wouldn't pick him in at this point. And that's kind of the way it's felt for a while.
Right.
Yes, he's only had, one loss in his career? One.
Cormier, right?
To DC?
Did DC beat him?
A lot of people believe he's the GOAT.
I mean, Dana White.
Yeah.
Dana White feels that.
Yeah. Jon Jones is the GOAT for sure.
What do you guys think about the entire, like, all of this Trump love at UFC, which after we've seen so often, especially from the mainstream media or different sports leagues or whatever, very much trying to shy away from any of that. UFC never did. They never, ever did. And now it just seems overwhelming at these sporting events that this is the type of reception that this dude gets.
DC didn't beat him. His loss was a disqualification. Sorry, where was it?
Okay.
His loss was a DQ.
Yeah, that was the Daniel Cormier. That was no contest, right?
I'm not sure which one. Matt Hamill.
That was because that one, I feel like, didn't he pop for or something?
It was for PEDs, probably. I think.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe what happened in the Cormier one, but yeah.
No, the whole Trump scene. I mean, we've been seeing it for the past several UFC events. Trump is a fucking rock star, man, and obviously he's got Dana White in his corner. Trump has been very good to Dana White in the past, and Dana White's been paying it forward for Trump, and these people love him, man. This has been a trend for UFC. Very, very supportive for Trump. He's a fucking rock star, man.
Yeah. You're never going to see a president like this again that's just this connected to the sports world like this. I mean, baseball games, he gets cheered. College football games, he gets cheered. UFC, definitely. The only person that wasn't there was JD. I don't know where he was, though. But he brought the whole Avengers crew with him.
Probably with his kids.
Yeah.
Probably with his kids. But there you go. That was crazy, obviously, to watch that happen. All right. WWE on Netflix will just be a buffering screen. Yes. WWE is on Netflix now, right? Or does that start next year? That start at the beginning of next year, maybe beginning of 2025. That's going to be crazy in and of itself. Gerald Armstrong, Conor McGregor got slammed because he said Jake Paul Cruz eyeing Pritchard Colin for the next opponent.
I saw that.
I think I saw some stuff between Jake Paul and Conor. Like in a couple years, don't be surprised if there's a Jake Paul Conor fight.
I can see that happening.
Like, don't be surprised at all, because that is somebody, one, who knows how to promote, and two, who will draw a ton of fucking eyes and attention. Like, I can totally see that happening at some point. Jake Paul versus Chris Benoit. Yeah, I feel like Jake Paul versus Chris Benoit could happen. We'll see. John Getz, Trump versus Biden in golf. Come on, Netflix, get it. That would be great, actually. Chris Coran for 2. Happy birthday, Ryan. I picked up a Bears Super Bowl souvenir for you.
Nice.
A Bears Super Bowl souvenir.
Super Bowl 41.
Well, are you talking about?
Unless it was 85.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Let's
Okay.
say it was Super Bowl 20. That's the one they won.
Yes.
They lost to Peyton Manning, despite the fact that Peyton Manning played like absolute dog shit.
Yep,
Charles
he wasn't
Tillman
good.
slipped down in the wet grass at a Miami field. I think it was in Miami because it was raining, and Reggie Wayne was wide open for a touchdown. Sometimes that's how these things go. That still is one of the coolest moments my entire sports life I've ever witnessed is Devin Hester at the beginning of Super Bowl 41 or whatever, taking it back to the house with the year that he'd had, with all the talk about it, all the bets that were being placed on it, even how unlikely it was, and he takes it to the house. That was crazy. The Rex Grossman era. The Rex Grossman era.
Urlacher.
That was a really good defense on the Bears.
Urlacher, Briggs, Tillman, Hunter Hillenmeyer might have been on that team at that point. Bro.
Dude, back on the Colts, back when Bob Sanders had like 2 or 3 years where he was like the best safety. Like, yeah, there was Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu, but Bob Sanders was a fucking savage.
You remember, man, things changed when Bob Sanders came back to the Colts. His problem was injuries. Peyton Manning was not good in that whole entire playoffs. He had 3 touchdowns, 7 picks. But things changed when Bob Sanders came back.
Bob Sanders was like, he made some insane plays and took some insane risks. It also blew up on him at times, though, as well. He'd fucking try to come down and try to jump around, and it would fucking work out very badly for them. But he was definitely he changed the energy on that defense when he was there. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. But I miss the Matt Forte days for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Forte, probably one of the most underappreciated running backs like in his era. When you look at what he was doing, catching the ball out of the backfield, sure, you had seen Marshall Faulk do the same thing for a while, stuff like that. But the level, I want to look up Matt Forte's stats. The dude may have fucking came close to leading the league in receptions one year. Matt Forte stats. Are you just gonna not even watch the Cowboys for the rest of the year, John?
No, I'm watching. They play on Monday night. I'll watch them.
You sure?
You sure you want to?
That's
you
my
probably
team.
don't want to.
I watch it. They're disaster, man, but I'm gonna watch them.
In 2014, Matt Forte had 102 receptions. 102 receptions
as a running back.
That's crazy.
As a running back. That's fucking nuts. Yeah. Anyway, Thomas Jones, dude, Thomas Jones was awesome. Thomas Jones was the running back in that Super Bowl, in that 2006 team. Thomas Jones was there then. Matt Forte didn't come on till later. I was just saying I missed the Matt Forte era. I gotta sign Matt Forte jersey. Hold on, I'll be right back.
I miss the Brandon Jacobs era. Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw with New York.
The Giants.
Dude, that was a great 1-2 punch. Talk about underappreciated running backs. Brandon Jacobs. Dude was Derrick Henry before Derrick Henry. He's like 6'3", 240 pounds, running back, just fucking built, dude. Oh man, I miss Brandon Jacobs.
Oh man, I missed the Emmett, Michael Irvin, and
Look at that. There you
Jordan
go.
Cowboys. Oh, that's a nice.
Hey,
jersey.
baby.
Hell yeah.
Bring back the 90s Cowboys.
Mike Allstott? Yeah, Allstott, dude. Fuck. What was his nickname? What was Allstott's nickname? Ah, fuck.
I don't remember.
Mike Allstott, Purdue guy.
Yeah,
What
what
was
was
his
his
nickname?
nickname, Ryan?
His nickname?
Did he have a nickname?
Big ass motherfucker. I don't know.
A-Train? A-Train was his nickname?
Maybe. I remember that more for Anthony Thomas. But maybe it was Mike Allstott. A-Train. Yeah, that's what it says when I look it up. A-Train.
There you go. And Mike Allstott was a fucking beast. Jerome Bettis he was a beast too, the bus.
Mike Hill, Jake Paul versus Ric Flair. Might not be bad. Listen, the Paul brothers, they know how to sell this shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Whether it's
marketers,
because
man.
they're loved or hated, they know how to sell this shit. They just do. They just do.
But you got people actually calling out Jake Paul now to fight a real boxer.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
needs
but
to fight Tommy Fury again.
But the thing is, what this showed, regardless whether you like it or not, and I don't like it, I wish we got to see an actual, to see how Jake Paul stands up in the real boxing world. That would be awesome. But guess what? He doesn't have to do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because he can drag out almost a corpse of fucking Mike Tyson in a wheelchair, on crutches, bleeding out, ulcers, right? Can barely walk. Remember those training videos we watched that weren't edited and cut up to cool music on TikTok where the man could barely run on a fucking treadmill? That's what this performance reminded me of, just like I was saying months ago. He can do that, and he can somehow promote it in a way that convinces you that you might just see that Mike Tyson again.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of people tune in, and he gets he gets tens of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So why should he? If you're him, if all you care about is fucking money and status and all that stuff, and the idea that a bunch of people out there might be like, well, he's not a real boxer, that might not bother you. Like, he doesn't have to. He just doesn't, which can be frustrating, but that's the way it is. Should fight Chuck Norris, someone said.
Fight Sylvester Stallone.
I don't think Stallone would be up for that.
No.
Sergio Garcia for 2. Yeah, let's go Cowboys. America's team. Fuck you, Uncle Ray Ray. You're America's team, all right. Biden's America. Rob Cortez for 5. Antonio Freeman. What are they going to say? He caught it? You're talking that Antonio Freeman catch? That was one of the wildest catches I've ever... That's the one that got bobbled and he caught it while he was on the ground, right? That one?
Maybe.
Speaking of football, before we get into the NFL matchups, I want to go over a little bit of NCAA right now. And where we're looking, current college football rankings, the ones that are updated, they're going to come out they come out today, right? At some point, either today or Monday. So these are obviously going to change a little bit. But 12 teams will somehow, some way make it in to the college football playoffs. And before the games, these were the rankings. These were the standings. 4 Big Ten teams in the top 5, which don't know how I feel about that. I think Oregon's really fucking good, obviously. Penn State, I don't know if Penn State's really beat anybody. They beat my Purdue Boilermakers yesterday. Big fucking deal. Boilermakers are one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. IU is undefeated. But you look at some of these other names. Tennessee just lost to Georgia in a pretty convincing fashion. So I think Tennessee drops pretty far down, and I think Georgia bumps up after a convincing win. Alabama played nobody. They destroyed Mercer. I don't know why they were playing Mercer this late in the season, but they were playing Mercer this late in the season. So Alabama not really much going on there. But you look at the rest of these, and we can actually take a look at the top 25 scores. Yes, Penn State wins. Oregon barely wins, but I don't think it's enough to drop them or anything like that. Ohio State was dominating. Texas took care of business in Arkansas. BYU does go down, which is obviously a big deal. BYU loses to Kansas at home. That is a bad loss for them. So who knows how far they might drop. Georgia convincingly beats Tennessee. Notre Dame, a fine win against an average Virginia team. Boise State. Does Boise State find a way to climb in there with GD putting on another 150-yard 3-touchdown performance? Do the Colorado Buffalo work their way in there? I think this is an interesting question because I think the Big 12 is fucking awful this year, like legitimately awful. But Colorado has done exactly what they've needed to do against some of these bad teams. They did lose to Kansas State. They had a very embarrassing loss to Nebraska. But other than that, in the Big 12, they've taken care of business. They have Kansas next, which is nothing. Oklahoma State, they should beat Oklahoma State as well. I don't see how Colorado with Dion and with Travis Hunter and all these, I don't see how you keep them out of the college football playoff if they're 10-2.
But they haven't had any top 25 wins either.
No, they haven't. Not a single one. I think the Big 12 is so fucking weak this year. Obviously, in part because some of the better teams left, like Oklahoma, like Texas, that are obviously not in the conference anymore. So that hurts. And all you can really do is play the people on there. Utah traditionally has been good. They've had a fucking really bad year in Utah. Horrific year. What do you guys make of this?
USC beat Nebraska yesterday.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. I mean, this still all boils down to a committee, right? It's not like they're going to pick 1 through 12. This is going to come down to a committee. So anything could fucking happen.
100%. And obviously, if they do run the table and then win the Big 12 championship, they're going to be in. So that is it in and of itself. But same with any of these like big conferences, all right? If they win the conference, they're going to be in regardless. But the college football playoff, they're going to want Colorado in there if they have an opportunity. They're probably hoping they don't have to fucking put a team like Boise State in there. But BYU certainly, I think, is going to drop in a big way with the way that they lost included. But I think the way it works, I need to check in. I obviously know the
There goes Ryan.
Oh.
There we go.
Wrong button.
Zenny Biscuit with a $5. With Trump returning to the White House and okay, yes, we got that one. Thank you. Alex McCarthy with the $2. Y'all can pick my team Jags and Packers to win. We'll get to the NFL picks in a little bit. But yes, I think the Packers are going to beat the Bears, but I think the Jags are going to get their butts kicked by the Lions today.
That was my bad.
No worries.
I accidentally clicked back. I accidentally clicked the back button.
I've done that before.
I figured that.
So I want to go show the Big 12 standings right now. If you look, BYU sitting there at number 1, technically Colorado. They're both 6-1 in the conference. Maybe BYU has those by tiebreakers, but yeah, it's going to be interesting for the committee to determine who gets in.
Yep.
What about these fucking Big 10 teams, though? Like, to me, the idea that obviously things are going to change after these games, but the idea that the initial ranking had 4 Big 10 teams in the top 5 is questionable to me. I love the Big 10. I'm a Big 10 guy, but especially teams like Penn State, who I just don't feel like Penn State has beaten anyone. Beardo, you're a Big 10 guy now. What do you think?
Let's take a look at Penn State's schedule.
Right,
So here's Penn State. They beat Illinois,
USC.
That's not
A loss to Ohio State.
Lost to a tough loss, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, it came down to the wire, stuff like that. I think goal line stand from Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck, man, West Virginia, Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois. Back when Illinois was ranked, I don't even.
They almost lost to USC
ranked,
too.
yeah.
By the way, they almost lost to USC.
Yeah, and it's not like, again, Illinois is not ranked anymore. They were ranked when they played them. They're not ranked anymore.
Right.
A solid win against Wisconsin, UCLA. I don't know. No, they're
Washington.
the fourth ranked, and they're the fourth ranked team.
It's going to be tough if they stay in the top 5. It's going to be tough not to put them into the playoff.
And I mean, you can make the same argument basically against a team like IU. Fuck the Hoosiers, but they've manhandled a lot of teams on their schedule. They haven't had really any difficult opponents. Michigan is the toughest. That's the best win on their schedule. And Michigan, obviously, we've seen the backstep that they've had this year. This is obviously going to be huge next weekend. That's going to be a massive game, Ohio State versus IU, which no one would have thought that was possible, that would be one of the things that determine the outcome of the Big Ten this year. But I don't know, man. Obviously, a lot of SEC teams. Jeremy's not here to defend his SEC, but a lot of SEC teams that are not super happy about how these rankings have played out. People are asking, well, who is Texas really beat? Tennessee was up there at 7. Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia. Georgia felt disrespected, but they've also got 2 losses. A lot of that came out. A big win for them against Tennessee, a very convincing victory against Tennessee, which they probably desperately needed. If they'd lost that, it would have been tough for Georgia to make these arguments. But
And
the end of the
Georgia
day,
took it to Texas.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, when it's all said and done, it doesn't matter that they've expanded to 12. Teams 13, 14, 15, and 16 that get left out are going to be bitching and moaning.
They're all going to feel snubbed, 100%.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
That's the nature of college football, man. That's every single fucking year since the BCS.
Well, it'll be all right. Jon Jones set out years to avoid Francis, and now Tom Aspinall. Yeah, I think you know, he says he doesn't want to fight Aspinall. I would like to see that fight. I don't know if I'd pick against Jon Jones. I don't know if I could ever pick against Jon Jones. But he says he wants Alex Pereira. Dana doesn't seem very inclined to give that to him, based on some of his comments. I don't know.
And why do you think?
I think that, I think that one, just because of the size difference potentially, but I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to give Jon what he wants. Maybe he doesn't want to force him into the fight against Aspinall. But to me, Dana's a guy who likes Jon Jones, knows Jon Jones is good for the UFC. And to me, it'd be surprising if he didn't give Jon Jones what he wants. Does Pereira want to fight Jon Jones? I don't know. I don't know.
He's going to have to pack on some pounds to fight Jon Jones.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what he said. I think he said something about that about Pereira. So Jon Jones is such a good wrestler that he wouldn't want to see Alex Pereira in there against him. That's one of the things that Dana said after the fight. So he doesn't seem like that. That is a fight headline wise and promotion wise that would probably get way more attention, even if it's maybe not the best matchup. Because Pereira is like fucking dude. Like Pereira is the guy right now for the past 2 years. That's what it's felt like. As much as he's fought, as dominant as he's fought, the way he's performed. But I don't know. All right. Where are we? And maybe Jon Jones is fucking talking shit in general. Who knows?
Could be.
We might as well get to the NFL, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's do it.
B-Chain for 10. UConn on the upswing. Hope football can get into the big conference. Big 12's been in discussion for a while. Men's basketball looking for a three-peat. Beat Gary's San Diego. Ryan's Purdue and Jeremy's Bama next. Fuck UConn, you cocksuckers. I hope your old fucking college burns to the ground. But Purdue Boilermakers look pretty good basketball-wise, okay? We look pretty good. We beat Alabama yesterday, or day before yesterday, maybe. I don't remember. Now it's time for some NFL picks. The moment you've all been waiting for.
Packers.
Well, hold on. Let me set this up first.
All right.
Okay. First game, 1 p.m. on Fox. Green Bay Packers against the Chicago Bears. After a lot of controversy, after a head coach being forced to fire his offensive coordinator because he didn't want to do it because he still wanted a scapegoat to try to keep his job at the end of the season. The Chicago Bears finally made the decision to move off their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, who, in my opinion, has been worse than Osama bin Laden for this country. All right. What Shane Waldron did has been awful and unforgivable. The Packers are now coming into town. The oldest rivalry in the National Football League, the most important rivalry in the National Football League.
Yeah, no,
and the Chicago Bears have had a difficult time over the last several years with the Green Bay Packers. With all that being said, I'm taking the Packers.
I'm taking the Packers too.
I'm taking the Packers as well. But I will say this. If you're on Prize Picks, Jordan Love, interception today. Jordan Love, interception. He's throwing a pick today. He's a pick machine. Now that Dak Prescott is out for the year, that was the easy anytime interception. But now it's Jordan Love. Jordan Love's throwing a pick today for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love takes. Thanks, Dan. Coming in late, but Mike was high as fuck and had a known injury. He had to medicate himself because he felt like crap about throwing the fight for money. Staged, 100%. Thank you for the invaluable analysis. Jaguars versus the Lions.
The Lions.
Yeah, fucking Lions all day, every day.
Best team in the league.
It doesn't matter if Jared Goff plays perfect, and it doesn't matter if he throws 5 interceptions. It don't matter. All right. They're going to find a way to win, especially against a team like the Jags.
Yep. Trevor Lawrence is out. Mac Jones is starting for the Jaguars. Jared Goff, even though he threw 5 interceptions last week, he doesn't need to do much. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, they're going to put the team on their back today. I think the Lions are going to put up a 40 burger for sure.
All right. Vikings, Titans. Now, the Vikings have had several games now where they look really solid the first couple weeks, no doubt. But the last couple of games, we've seen them kind of sneak away with some, not play the best. We've seen a lot of turnovers from Darnold at times. I'm taking the Vikings in this game, but I do feel like we're about to see a little bit of a step back from them.
You think the Titans cover?
Some of this performance. Did the Titans cover? I don't know if I'd say that, but
I would go a full touchdown and extra point for the Vikings.
Yeah, I like the Vikings. I'm going to lay the points with the Vikings.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page so far. What a disgusting fucking game. The Raiders versus the Dolphins.
Oh.
Gross.
I'm taking the Dolphins at home.
Me too. That's too many points.
They finally were able to get a win. In the last game against the Rams, we all picked the Rams. Well, at least me and Beardo picked the Rams from what I remember. Against Dolphins. Dolphins were able to get away with that one at home against a Raiders team who never knows who they're fucking playing at quarterback or for how long.
It's Minshew.
I'm taking the Dolphins.
I'm going to pick the Dolphins too, but I think the Raiders cover.
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want to pick the Raiders? You got a bunch of Raiders fans in the chat, like green-haired anti-liberal. She loves when you pick the Raiders. I love it too.
I would love to pick the Raiders, but I'm working on my overall record here for the year. I'm picking the Dolphins, but I do think the Raiders are going to cover.
I completely agree. They're definitely going to cover. I picked the Dolphins as well. Probably be like a field goal game.
All right, Rams, Patriots. Patriots coming off a victory against the Chicago Bears, flying high, feeling good. Rams coming in off a loss. Rams favored in New England, by the way. I am going to take the Rams in this game, but I feel like the Patriots are going to make it close.
This is another gross game.
Yeah, I'm picking the Patriots at home for this game. Close, though.
This one's tough because the Rams are so hit or miss.
Up and down. Yeah.
They're so hit or miss, man. And I like the way that Drake May is leading these Patriots.
Yeah.
I like Drake May. You know, one thing is like he is going to take risks, which can result in some great plays and also some turnovers. He should have had 2 picks in that Bears game. He had a Bears DB that literally let it slip out his fingers in the end zone. You know, he certainly didn't play great last week, but he makes some plays when he needs to. That offense makes plays when they have to extend some drives. But I'm taking the Rams because the Rams still got a fucking outside shot at this division, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Patriots are just playing for pride at this point.
They have to win. They have to win. I'm going to go with the Rams as well, but I think the Patriots keep it close. They might cover that 4.5.
God, the Browns versus the Saints.
Oh man,
another gross game.
Yeah.
We have some great games this weekend and some fucking gross games.
Let's be real. The majority of them are gross.
Yeah,
like,
they are.
Even a lot of like, this is a gross game. Lions, Jaguars. Who fucking wants to watch that? Lions or Vikings. Nobody wants to fucking watch that. Let's just
The Monday night game too, man, with my Cowboys.
Browns versus the Saints. Jameis Winston, fresh off his 3 touchdown performance, had a 3 interception performance.
That's who he is.
Yeah, that is who he is. Now playing a Saints team who, after 7 years of shit, finally broke off a win. Or 7 games of shit. Not
7 years.
A 7-game losing streak. Finally broke off a win. Cleveland is favored in this game in the Superdome.
Yeah. This one's tough. I was saying this morning on Game On, doesn't this just feel like a game where Alvin Kamara can just bust out for 4 touchdowns? Just has one of those freak games.
Maybe. I'm going to take the Saints. If this was at home, I'd be taking the Browns. But it's away from them. I'm taking the Saints in the game.
I'm going to pick the Saints too.
The one thing, this is a Jameis Winston revenge game.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Listen, logic and instinct tells me to pick the Browns, but my gut is saying take the Saints.
I'm just gonna pick the Saints because they're at home.
I'm going with the Saints too.
This is ugly. This is ugly.
Another gross game. Colts
and Jets.
Fuck.
Can we just not watch football this Sunday?
I'm there with you after last week, personally. But all right, got Aaron Rodgers against AR5, I guess. Anthony Richardson back at starting quarterback for the Colts. I am going to take the Jets in this game because I hate Anthony Richardson, but I also despise Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers is still better than Anthony Richardson.
Well, obviously, yes.
And Aaron Rodgers ain't Aaron Rodgers no more. I'll take the Jets in this game.
I'm going to go the Jets too, only because I was forced to pick up Breece Hall on my fantasy team, so I need the Jets to do well. So I'm going to take the Jets. But this is a gross fucking game.
Your pick is based off who you need to do well on your fantasy team, not what you actually think will happen, but you are trying to pick this and manifest it into existence.
100%.
All right, just making sure. The game of the week, the Ravens and the Steelers.
There's another good game.
Yeah.
There's another good game at 4 o'clock.
Steelers definitely a surprise.
This is, Chiefs Bills. I forgot about Chiefs Bills.
Oh, yeah, that's a
that probably is the game of the week. But still, this one, Ravens Steelers in division, very meaningful for both of these teams, for who's going to come out of this division as the winner.
Mm-hmm.
At Steelers.
Give me the Steelers.
Give me the Steelers too. I don't care that Baltimore's favored by 3.
Yeah.
I think that what they've achieved with what this defense is able to do, the commitment to the power run game, yet having Russell Wilson able to spread the field and make moments and key plays at times when they need to. Give me the Steelers at home.
I'm also going with the Steelers.
What the fuck?
We've almost picked all the same teams.
We basically have. All right. Well, that makes that easy. Falcons, Broncos.
Interesting game.
Yes, this is an interesting game. A tough one to pick. We've seen Atlanta have a few, off weeks or whatever and kind of bounce back. This is a very solid Broncos team. I'm taking the Broncos at home.
Fuck. So am I.
Me too.
I like the way how Bo Nix is leading this Broncos team right now. I was a little skeptical. I was big on Bo Nix in the preseason. Then I was like, maybe not so much to start the season. But now he's got this offense humming right now. He's their best player. I know they have Patrick Surtain on defense and Sutton, Cortland Sutton. Bo Nix is their best fucking player. I like the Broncos at home.
I feel like we probably gave Sean Payton a lot of shit last year. Russell Wilson looked a lot better last year than he did the first year with that team. But Sean Payton is a guy who has an offense that he knows really well, and he wants certain guys to run it. And when he gets those guys that he wants, that offense looks fucking great. And I think he found somebody he feels good with and comfortable with in a guy like Bo Nix. And we've seen people flourish in that Sean Payton system. And Bo Nix is playing really well. He's playing really well for them. And if this game was indoors, I might change my mind. But outdoor game at home, Mile High.
Yep.
I think Broncos have a little bit of an edge.
Yep.
Seahawks, 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to beat the Seahawks. Seahawks have really fallen apart. Although DK Metcalf, I believe, is supposed to be back. He's obviously been out for a couple weeks, but he should be back in at wide receiver for them. But I'm still taking the Niners.
I'm taking the Niners too. I'm taking the Niners, and I think they're going to cover that. They're going to cover that 6 points. I think this is going to be a blowout. Geno Smith today, 2 picks. 2 picks for Geno Smith. That's a lock on Prize Picks.
Now, the actual game of the week. Chiefs, Bills. The
Bills
Chiefs
don't even get any respect. They don't even get a 3-point spread.
The Chiefs continue to find ways to win, whichever way it may be, even if they need a blocked field goal.
They should have lost last week.
I mean, they should have.
They should have lost the past 3 weeks.
You can look back at a lot of these games and feel like the Chiefs could easily be.
In reality, they could be like 1-8, really, because all those games have been super close.
Not about 1-8, but definitely it's pretty easy to justify. They could easily be 4-5 or something right now.
True. Yes.
Things hadn't gone a different way for them, but they're not. They're 9-0. People can try to blame the refs all they want. There's a blocked field goal last time. And despite some people, even in this chat, saying they overloaded the side, no, they didn't. They had the proper number of people on the line of scrimmage, which is the rule, just for the record.
They know how to make plays.
A lot of people with Chiefs derangement syndrome. I'm not even a fucking Chiefs fan. I have to defend these fucks.
It ends today, man. The Bills are gonna win.
That I am also. Fuck John. I'm picking the Bills at home. Josh Allen. I think Amari Cooper's back. I haven't heard official actives and inactives yet.
He's questionable, but he's going to play.
Okay. Now that is a big deal, and I think Amari Cooper needs to play.
Also, keep this in mind, though.
Coleman's not going to play.
Keon Coleman's out.
Need Cooper.
Dalton Kincaid is also out.
Mm-hmm. But I think the Bills are also going to cover this spread. It'll be like 25-20. They'll win.
Yeah, I like the Bills. Give me the fucking Bills. Hammer it.
Well, that probably means Chiefs are going to win.
Also, Prize Picks, Josh Allen, more on his rushing yards today. I believe he was set at like 52 rushing yards, 50-something rushing yards. I think Josh Allen gets that today. More on his rushing yards.
Yes, this might finally be the game that the Chiefs lose. Bengals and Chargers. That is a fucking good game. A very good game for the Sunday night game. Bengals 4-6. Joe Burrow has played so much better than them.
Man.
You have to look at...
Let's be real, man. He's played the best quarterback in the league so far.
Arguably, yeah. Now again, his teams have been in positions where he's needed to throw a lot, so you can kind of put those things
True.
out there. But when you
True.
just do look at those numbers,
He's been
2,600 yards,
fantastic.
24 touchdowns, 4 picks.
Yep.
He's been playing really good.
Look at how close the Bengals' losses have been, and then go look at who the Chargers have beat. The Chargers have not beat a quarterback like Joe Burrow this season.
And the Chargers have not won super convincingly a ton of games
Correct.
either.
Nope.
Now, that has a little bit to do with, I think, like their strategy and ball control and things like that. And they've played really well. But I'm taking the Bengals, one, because the Bengals desperately need it.
Yes.
But they've needed a lot of them, and it hasn't really turned out well
Yeah.
for them. But I just think the Bengals are a better team than their record indicates. And the Chargers do not have the best of home field advantages.
Yep. Bengals.
Give me the Bengals too. But we got to keep in mind also Sunday Night Football this year, a lot of low scoring, close games, 48.5 point total. Take the under on this total, but the Bengals are going to win.
Now, maybe the Chargers, when forced to open it up a little bit too, maybe they're able to get that scoring going. They haven't really needed to a ton yet this year. Justin Herbert certainly has played very well, but it's not stats that are going to blow you away necessarily what he's doing. Guy looks like he doesn't have a fucking arm. Does this guy not have an arm?
He's missing an arm. The story of Chiefs running back coach Porter Ellett.
Before each Chiefs
Hold
game.
on, I'm looking.
Catching the football, and he took it upon himself. He was like, hey, I'll come catch if you want me
He's
to.
got one arm.
Yeah. One
What the
arm.
fuck?
Running back coach with one arm, huh?
Guess you only need one. High and tight there. High and tight. But yeah, I just saw it. I'm like, the way that jacket's folded looks like this motherfucker only has one arm. Sure as shit, he's only got one arm.
Yeah.
So I guess those things.
Monday night. You didn't do Monday night.
Oh, Monday night, of course.
Texans
Monday
gonna
night,
win.
Texans, Cowboys. I know somebody who's driving up from Houston just to go see the Texans beat the shit out of the Cowboys.
Yeah, not this guy.
I gotta take the Texans in the Monday night game. I can't in good conscience pick the Cowboys for anything right now.
Nope. But I expect Cooper Rush to play much better than he played last week. Man, he was horrible.
He couldn't play much worse. He
Oh,
threw for like
God.
25 yards.
Yeah.
Houston.
Maybe he'll throw for 50 this time.
Houston. All right. Well, it's going to be a little bit boring, these ones, because we all picked very, very similar to each other.
Yeah.
So
But
not
a lot
too
of the
much,
games are dog shit, though.
not
so-
too much ground. Okay. There we go. That actually makes a lot more sense. Jose Contreras fixed some of our the reason it didn't make sense for me when he was doing our records earlier was because I'm not 81-46. I'm 91-46.
Oh, shit.
That actually makes a lot more sense, Jose Contreras. And it makes a lot more sense with what I felt in my head. Beardo is 74-63. I had you at 81, but it's actually 91 wins, Ryan. My bad. All is forgiven, Jose Contreras. I look even better now, so I can't be mad about that. But I knew the math
catching
wasn't
up.
mathing.
I'm catching up.
John Getz loved that Bears era, mainly because the 05, the Steelers had lost 3 straight. Turned around their season when old fat-ass Jerome Bettis ran over Urlacher and brought to his last 100-yard game. Yeah, I remember. John Getz, Illinois was ranked when Penn State beat them. They beat USC, I guess, but it took a goal line stand for Ohio State to beat them. Plus, they beat Purdue. Purdue, the home of Drew Brees. Everyone has beat Purdue this year, okay? The only, saving grace that we can have is if Purdue beats IU this year. Doesn't matter anything else that happens. If we beat IU and fuck their season over, that would be magical. Okay? That would be magical. Somebody did have some positive news. The Giants won't lose this week.
Yep, we're on a bye.
Yeah. You're out scouting Shedeur Sanders, though.
Are we? Scouting Shedeur Sanders? Nah. I just want to tank for Arch Manning. Let's be horrible for the next 2 years. Let's get Arch Manning.
Steelers versus Ravens from 05 to 2016 was crazy. Super Bowl contenders with top defenses and finishes like AB's goal line stretch to win on Christmas Day, to the AFC Championship game, Palomalu pick 6, just great teams. Yeah, that's always been great. I've actually got to witness Steelers Ravens in person.
Nice.
When I was in Pittsburgh, and it was around Halloween, either the weekend before or right after Halloween, one of those. And we were going to Pittsburgh for a work trip. And I was like, fuck, we might as well get there a little bit early and go to this game. Sunday night football. Are you fucking kidding me? Let's do it. And so we all got tickets and we went. And of course, I wanted to play the troll. And this is right after.
Is this when you wore the Ray Rice jersey?
Yes. It was right after Ray Rice got fucking suspended for all the shit that happened with him. And so I bought and found a Ray Rice jersey and wore it to Pittsburgh. It was great. And then Ben Roethlisberger threw like 5 touchdowns and the Ravens got absolutely annihilated. But it was fun to troll while it lasted. That's about Daniel Jones will still have 3 interceptions. Yeah. But hey, Beardo, what do you got going on this week, man?
Just watching football, doing some Geeks and Gamers stuff, doing some more Call of Duty live streams. That's about it.
There you go. What about you, John?
I'll just be here watching football. It's been raining all day, so can't really go outside.
Well, it is what it is. Piano Dean, based on the record, Saints Brown should be a good game. Jameis probably want to hurt him. Jameis going to be eating W's before the game. We'll see what he's eating after the game, though. Maybe crab legs. That'll be the question. But hey, we appreciate a big crowd watching us hang out and fight over the fights, which is basically what we did earlier today. So we appreciate it. We were at over maybe 1,300 people or so at one point on YouTube, over 100, 200 over on Rumble. So we appreciate the hell out of you guys. Hope you all have a good Sunday, whether you're watching the games or not. We will be here tomorrow for Monday Evening Quarterback to go over the stuff we got right, the stuff we got wrong, and all the shit we couldn't even see coming. And that's going to do it for us. Have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.